Is that for me?
Yes, you might as well start. You can open the batting.
One of the things the Labour Party did not do during the campaign was to highlight the extent to which Tony Abbott is capable of changing his mind on important elements of policy. The climate change policy was one of them. If he's changed it once, he can presumably change it again. Indeed, he did tell us that he doesn't always say what he means. The Labour Party didn't capitalise on that too much. I think Tony Abbott would do what he felt he needed to do to get into power or have power, if that's going to be possible. But I would like to see somebody with a deep conviction about where Australia will go and who will have some constance in terms of important policy. And that's not been demonstrated by the current Liberal Party.
What you haven't explained is how you can make one promise in 1 month and then completely change it the next. What happened in that month where you had this sudden explosion of vision?
Again, Kerry, people will make their own judgments about me, and if
but I'd like you to explain it. Yeah. Well, you know, Tony Abbott feels with conviction we will not have a new tax. In any way, shape or form, we won't have a new tax. A month later, you do.
Well, you know, again, Kerry, I know politicians are going to be judged on everything they say, but sometimes in the heat of discussion, you go a little bit further than you would if it was an absolutely calm, considered, prepared, scripted remark, which is one of the reasons why the statements that need to be taken absolutely as gospel truth is those carefully prepared, scripted remarks.
So every time you make a statement, we have to ask you whether it's carefully prepared and scripted or whether it's just something on the fly.
Look, we can...
seriously, this is a very serious question.
But all of us, Kerry, all of us, when we're in the heat of verbal combat, so to speak, will sometimes say things that go a little bit further.
Mr Abbott, we're not all leaders of major political parties who are either Prime Minister or aspiring to be.
True. And
going on the facts that Marius Kloppers said today when he was directly asked if the decision on Olympic Dam was affected by Australia's tax situation, and I'm going on the facts that are outlined in their results statement that they've issued. Have you actually read BHP's statements?
No, but...
Have you now read that report, that BHP report?
And I had read BHP's statement at 3:45
So why did you
in
tell
the
Lee Sales on the 7:30 report that you hadn't read it?
Well, Lisa, I was denying something that was being attributed to Marius Kloppers. I wasn't actually saying I hadn't read it because I had read it.
But that was a direct question that she asked you. She said, have you read the report? And you said no.
Have you actually read BHP's statements?
No, but there was a whole lot of rapid-fire accusations coming from Lee at the time.
That was pretty clear, Mr Abbott.
Our Prime Minister should not be swanning around in New York talking to Africans. She should be in Jakarta right now trying to sort out the border protection disaster. She should be in Jakarta talking to President Yudhoyono about how we can cooperate better with the Indonesians.
There was just one problem, though.
If Mr Abbott had bothered to check his facts, he'd know that the President is actually in New York at the moment.
Late Lines confirmed Julia Gillard's sharing a speaking engagement later in the week with President Yudhoyono in New York. Her deputy says she's got a better relationship with the President than Mr Abbott.
I mean, this was the leader of the opposition who did not have the courage, when he last met with the President of Indonesia, to even raise his so-called towbacks policy.
I mean, if Tony Abbott ends up the Prime Minister of Australia, I mean, you've got to say, God help us. God help us, you know. An intellectual, truly an intellectual nobody, and no policy ambition. You know, I mean, is that all there is? You know the song, is that all there is? I mean, is that where we'd be, really? I mean, I used to, look, he turned up in the last couple of years when I was Prime Minister. I regard him as a sort of resident nutter on their side, you know. Now, you know, where is the thought-out position? I mean, a Conservative Party can have a thought-out position. I mean, I saw this program last night with Malcolm Turnbull. I mean, the differences. Turnbull had an articulated, intelligent, moderate, thought-out, conservative position. I mean, the fact is that Abbott does not have this.
You're not saying anything, Tony.
I've given you the response you deserve.
Well, what's the context, though? If it's not... I've listened to all the tapes. There's 3 camera angles of that discussion. Are you saying it's not about McKinney, about that operation? Well, what is the right context? I'm asking you. Can I ask you how it's been taken out of context? No. Nothing else to say, Tony? Okay. Just turn the cameras off.